Hey everybody, we're back live from Buddy Bear Car Wash, and we've got with us today special guest Francisco Arenas. Of course, you all know Jerry Brown. Welcome, Jerry.
I'm back.
Francisco.
Thanks, Francisco, for joining us.
So we're going to be talking a little bit about the upcoming 2024 SSA Playing for Peace Class B National Championship Tournament. And real quickly, before we do that, I wanted to recap the Louis Bowl Blanchard Tournament, which went on last weekend out in Country Club Hills. And it was a great event put on by Tony Moore and Tony Pearson. And what you got online right now is a picture of the Wolfpack. They went clean and they won the event. They had a great weekend. Coming in second, Oboes, and you can see Jerry Brown looking very handsome, holding the runner-up trophy.
Some things are easy.
And of course, we want to mention Brandon Irving from the Wolfpack, who is the MVP. And so it was a great event, and with it honoring Bo Blanchard, and they did that real nice ceremony on Saturday. And I thought it was just well run and well done. And before I get your comments, I want to thank everybody, the two Tonys, all of the players, the fans, the teams. I was out there. You guys all made me feel right at home. And I love the enthusiasm. And thank you very much for everybody's hospitality while I was out there.
Played a role, and also Craig, we call him Craigo, affectionately known as Craigo. He played a role in it, and it was an honor and a joy to be a participant. Didn't like the finish, but I liked participating and having a good time amongst people. And you did the live game. I don't know if you put the Maluka on me, but I was happy you came out and showed some SSA love to the Washington Park family.
Of course. It was, like I said, it was. I thought it was well run. They really have cleaned up that facility quite a bit. Mayor Ford was out there, and the emotion that you could see from Bo's family during the ceremony. It was really a nice event, a nice thing they did for Bo's family and the softball community. It's always fun to see the younger teams go at it.
Yeah.
And everybody was playing hard, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was very hot out there, but everybody was playing hard. Everybody had fun, and everybody knew we were all there to honor a great man in Louis Blanchard, as he affectionately known as Bo. So I'm hoping that we come back next year and they keep it going, and we can have a 30th annual, 29th annual, and so forth.
Okay, I won't be around by that time, because that would make me about 92. But
perfect number.
Yeah, you never know. So real quick, I would just want to talk about a couple of our sponsors. And I say it all the time, but support the people that support 16-inch softball. For example, obviously Sweet Buzz and Gold Rush Gaming, you hear a lot, but an unsung person that supports us is Buddy Bear Car Wash. And Phil, if you're going to get your car washed, go to Buddy Bear. He's helped us out. Phil, they're just tremendous. But all of our sponsors, when you come out, you see our banners, make sure you support them because it's important. So now we're going to get to the main guest, Francisco Arenas. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Class B National Championship tournament. And we're having a little switcher problem, but we're okay.
No.
So anyways, Francisco, why don't you give us a little background on the tournament, how the Playing for Peace theme came about, and your thoughts through the years of what this tournament has done to help propel some of the younger players into the game.
Thank you, Joe. So 2017, we started the concept of having a Class B Nationals with the SSA. Originally, we were thinking of having at least maybe 12 teams. By the time I posted the announcement for the tournament, it filled up within 12 hours, and we had 29 teams. The first tournament took place at Petrowski Park in River Village. my home community. And we also had, in conjunction with the tournament, a basketball tournament as well. So collectively that weekend, which started Friday and Saturday, we had 4 diamonds. We had about 2,000 people coming to attend. And so just launching that first one was one of the great accomplishments that I've had. And he doesn't get a lot of recognition, but Gio was the first one from the SSA to be there. He put up, I think he dressed up each diamond by himself, the help of the guys from Little Village, but Gio, I want to tell you thank you for that. And then Pat Caputo showed up next, and then just really all the SSA board members started trickling in. But I do want to acknowledge that their help and the SSA really helped launch this event.
So why don't you give us a little background about how you came up with the Playing for Peace and what it's meant to a lot of the B teams and some of the things through the years that you've noticed.
So I've been fortunate enough that when I was a lot younger, I played at different parks around the city of Chicago, the outlying suburbs. But more importantly, I played softball in Little Village. In Little Village, there is an organization called New Life Centers, and they've had, prior to our Class B Nationals, something that they call Playing for Peace, where they provide softball as an outlet for at-risk youth or just people in the community who want to mentor youth. And I played in that league. And so Matt DeMaio, who is the CEO and Executive Director for New Life Centers, actually arranged for us to use the fields at Petrosky for free. And he was really invested in the concept of bringing people from different communities together. And so that was one of the best days, as I mentioned before, that we had people from all over the surrounding Chicago area come together for the concept of Playing for Peace. And it is one common bond that we all have, that we love softball.
And I know when you first launched the tournament, we talked about, that area can be a little rough, but whenever there's softball going on, there's literally no crime in the area because everybody's out playing ball. And
funded the league originally with city and private donations, and what it did find is that in Little Village, which is basically broken up into the east and west side, whenever they have had softball, violence tends to go down, or acts of violence tend to go down. And so building on that, we decided to have at least 1 or 2 days that we can bring peace to our communities, and much sorely needed in the city of Chicago.
Jerry?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for all your work and your efforts you've done with Clyde Park. That has not gone unnoticed. I mean, that's been another stepping stone for B teams and A teams, whatever teams, to get prepared for tournaments and other things. And so I also want to thank you for doing what you're doing with the B National idea and concept, because the B teams or the other teams aren't treated like little stepsisters. They get treated just as well as a Class A major and so forth. So I want to say thanks a lot, and pretty soon the way you're organizing things up, man, look like we need to put in an application for a Hall of Fame thing. I mean, you can't be afraid of it, man. I mean, you're a great organizer, a great leader of the softball community, and I just hope and pray that you keep doing this and doing great things like you keep doing.
Thank you, Jerry, and thank you for the kind words. But I want to say that I do this because I love the game of softball, and I also do this because I'm on Facebook, and I don't know that anyone doesn't have Steve Rodriguez as a friend.
Steve-O.
But I've been trying to mentor him in terms of maybe one day me walking away and leaving him replacing me. But also other leaders that have come from Little Village. Kevin Chavez from Trash Pans has done a miraculous job putting a team together for guys from our community. He's a past B participant. This year he's stepping up to A, and so I want to acknowledge that this is an outlet for kids that come from our community, and it does build community.
Well, how do you get the word out, and that when you have a few kids that may be on the wrong side of the road, so to speak, how do you pull them over into the softball diamonds? Is there anything that you do, or what's the secret to your sauce?
Well, thank you. Good pun. A lot of it is just asking people to come out. There are players who play the sport now who may have had some lived experiences, and this is a good outlet because sometimes, it's easy to judge a book by the cover, but not recognize that sometimes these kids in these communities are good athletes.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
and if you look at Clyde Park or even teams that I've coached, you wouldn't know that some of the people that have played for me have lived experiences, and this sport can actually save their life.
Yeah. Well, we say that at Washington Park, that Washington Park not only is a softball community, but also saves lives and keeps people on that right side of the track, which I mentioned before. So I do understand what you're saying.
And what I really love about this approach is that you also have people who wouldn't necessarily be friends outside of softball, and they develop lifelong friendships and become brothers. And that's what I've seen, what I've experienced, and this is why I really do this.
Yeah, the perfect example is Gio and I. You know, I'm a rock star, and next thing you know, he's sailing along, following behind me, and now look what happened. I'm on his show.
Exactly.
So we were talking a little bit earlier, and you were talking about like the all-star team of kids that have played in this B tournament. Why don't you give us some of the names of kids that kind of got their start in the B and have progressed and become really good softball players and maybe moved up to A or major?
So definitely, I made a list of teams that have played. Start off with Wolfpack, 3038, YTD, Line Drive, Primetime, Sauce, Meatball City, Future, Los Borrachos, and Goodwood. Goodwood specifically and Los Borrachos have played in our tournament since we started. Shout out to Steve Burke for his hat. Brian Sloan for his shirt. Those are teams that just found the flyer on Facebook and said, hey, listen, I'm interested in bringing a team together. And they've developed now so that, you know, Steve is playing in Nova Nationals this month. Sauce as well too. And a lot of the teams that have played, I can literally, there's too many players, but I can literally feel an all-star team with guys that have started at the B level and have progressed on, not just at the A level, but some of them are actually playing at the major level.
I know one person who can start out with one of my favorites from Los Borrachos is Alex Cotto, the shortstop.
Yes.
He is one of my favorite players.
Yes, he's a spark plug for that team. Alex, last year I think played with 7-7 Tress, another Nationals participant.
Okay.
Steve now has developed now into an amazing shortstop. And yes, he definitely has him. They have a left fielder, center fielder, Luke.
Okay.
And I can't remember the young man's name, but I call him Crocodile Dundee. He wears a fishing net. Those guys can mash, right?
Yeah.
So
That's a nice team, and that's just another prime example of what you're saying, starting from here. Not where you start, it's how you finish. And you have 38s who started out, like you said, with you guys. Now they're in the NOLA for a couple weeks.
Well, you know what I find interesting, and what I really like, is to watch the progression of these young teams. The 38s are a prime example. I remember when they won the B, Alan sent me a Facebook message saying this is just the beginning, and he was so fired up. And when you get to watch them at the B level and you see them progress to the A level and you have contact with these teams through the years, it's almost like they take you into their family a little bit. And they're so used to, you know, playing in our events and our tournaments, and they get so excited about it that that for me is always the thing that I love about the fact that you started basically the Class B division. There was no Class B division until you started doing this, and now we have Class B tournaments. You know, Bo Blanchard, good example, that was a B tournament. And so that's what I like about it, is being able to just see a group over a 4 or 5 year period and seeing them grow, not just as kids or players, but as people, as men, as they mature and stuff. And I think you've been doing a fantastic job with that, and I think it helps make softball healthy and strong.
Thank you. I want to reiterate this. You know, people are thinking, you know, Class B, right? It's not A or major. But the thing is that the tournament isn't a gimme. Line Drive wound up coming like in 4th place in the B National. There's another team. Primetime never won the tournament. Line Drive never won the tournament. YTD's first year in the B Nationals, they went 0-2. I remember getting a message from Andrew saying, "Coach, we're embarrassed. We thought they were just going to walk in and it was going to be a cakewalk." And sure enough, they got their team together, and the following year they wound up winning the B Nationals, and then I believe the following year they won A Nationals. So they're the first team to win both B and A Glove. And too bad they didn't stay together, because if they would have stuck together, I would have given them a shot for major.
Well, and it's also interesting because, you know, Future, the very first tournament that group ever played in was the Class B National Championship, and they won it. And that kind of has pushed them along. They have some commitment issues at times, but very talented group, and that's a perfect example. Park League Heroes, they won the first tournament. A lot of people were wondering why they were in the second year, but the second year they didn't win it. And everybody thought they were a prohibitive favorite. So you're right, that's why we play these games, and it's just been a lot of fun. So let's move over now and get into the actual tournament. This is the official bracket. So if you're out there and you're wondering, you know, what bracket to look at, this is the one you want to look at that is accurate and has all of the correct game times. Sorry, my PowerPoint's jumping on me. And we'll move to the next slide. This is the upper portion of the bracket. So we got Steady Drizzle and Funk on Thursday, and we got Young Guns and Pickle, and the two winners will face off at 10 o'clock on Thursday. So Steady Drizzle, Bill and Marla, you got Funk, Young Guns, and Pickle. Why don't you give us a little insight on some of these teams, Francisco?
Sure. So Funk is actually a very good team. They actually had some of the players that are playing for those Barachos this year. But like as any manager knows, it's hard to keep everyone together. And so some of them went their way. And Sal, who runs the team, at the beginning of the season told me, "Coach, I'm going to try and play in a park league and pick up some guys, but I really want to put a team together and start from scratch. I might get some veterans." And in fact, I think he picked up Nicky Marchese and his son to play in the tournament. And so they've been playing in the tournament for the past couple of years. I think last year they might be coming fourth with some of those players. So he's revamping his team, and he's looking forward to a good game against Steady Drizzle.
And I don't know much about the Pickle team, but I like the name.
So the Pickle team is run by Dan Huerta. He's an original member of the Class B Nationals. His first entry into the tournament, they were called Save the Cans, and then he changed the team name to Bad News Beers. His third iteration was the Delegation, and then finally he's like, "Coach, put me in a pickle, so we're gonna call it Pickle." And I think that's his. They play out of Mount Greenwood on Sundays. That's his Sunday league team, and so that's the team he's bringing.
Well, that's the interesting thing, you know, with like the Class B, Carroll Stream, we get these teams that play out of leagues that you don't normally think about, like Mount Greenwood, or they play out in Tinley Park, or, you know, Itasca. And it's nice when you can pull these teams out and get them to come and play in these events. I always think that that's a fantastic thing.
I gotta say this thing about Pickle too. One of my favorite pictures that I've taken throughout the years is the one of Dan and his father. So his father and his family come out and watch him, support him, win or lose, and that kind of epitomizes what the tournament is about: family support.
Well, that's softball in general. You know, if your wife or girlfriend is miserable, you're going to be miserable. So, you know, it's funny because a lot of the teams that seem to thrive are the teams where the spouses or girlfriends, and they come out and they bring the kids and they bring their tent and they just make a day or two out of it. And that's what I've always loved about 16-inch, is that players and teams and friends and family, they'll actually stick around even when they're done playing.
Yeah, definitely. I gotta say that those Barachos, Dirty 38s, YTD, they traveled well. When they came to the tournaments, they were usually 50 deep, if not. And so it's good to have that support. It's good to see a good crowd supporting their teams.
Absolutely. So let's move now to the lower portion of the bracket. And we got Playmakers and Yak Bombers. Winner feeds into the Woodpeckers. and Oboes and Born Divine. And of course, at 10 o'clock, whoever the two teams are Thursday will end up playing each other. So Playmakers, Yak Bombers, Oboes, Born Divine are mainstays. We see them quite a lot. Woodpeckers are a young team. I assume that's the team playing Monday nights in Melrose. And they're very young. And you know, they're getting a rough ride out in Melrose, but I think it's fantastic that they jumped into the B tournament.
You got to tip your hat to anyone that wants to step up and play up. And so they are definitely a feisty group. Their dugout's always loud, and they have at least 20 guys show up for every game. And their spirit, win or lose, the dugout noise is the same. So I commend them for stepping up, and I'm proud of them.
You know, with a younger team, and one of the advantages they have, they don't know who they're playing. So they're out there, like you just mentioned before, they're having a good time and they're relaxed while the other team might be a little tight. And you never know, they might go on a run and win a couple of games. And once they win a couple under their belt, then you know they're off and running.
And I think it's interesting. I saw the Yak Bombers over the weekend. They look like they improved.
Yeah.
And you know, Rio, one of the nicest guys in softball.
Yes.
And I couldn't have been happier to see that they were winning a few games and having some success. And of course, second tournament, I think in the last three that the Oboes have drawn Born Divine.
Yeah, we love each other. We're kissing cousins, so we're gonna keep at it and hopefully give the fans a good game.
And of course, last time you drew them, Oboes snuck past them.
Beer. Hair in my chinny chin chin.
So that could be a little bit of a revenge game, Jerry. I hope your crew's going to be fired up.
Don't know. It's a 9 o'clock game, so we'll see. We'll do the best we can, and that's going to be a tough one, though. But Born Divine is a very quality opponent.
So now moving along, we get to the upper portion of the lower bracket, and we got Goons, APB. They feed into the Reapers, and Bullies and Get Some. And of course, whatever two teams come out will be playing at 10 o'clock on Friday. And, you know, I saw Bullies in intentional sports over the winter, and I thought they looked pretty good. They've struggled a little bit in the outdoor year, but, you know, I think that that's a team that has enough talent where they could win the tournament.
So Bullies last year won the Phil Coronado inaugural tournament in Harrison Park. And so when they're hitting on all cylinders, they're a pretty good team. Edwin, who runs the team, is
Great guy.
He's a great guy, very committed to his team, loves his guys, and I think if he gets them ready, I can see them having a good run.
So give us a little background on some of these other teams in the background. Goons, APB, Get Some, Reapers.
So the Get Some is run by Paul Arteaga. He runs the Sunday League at Generic Park. He's a Little Village resident as well too, comes from my neighborhood. And like I said, he's bringing in guys from the community, getting them ready to play. And I commend him for stepping up. When I called him up and I asked him, hey, listen, I offered him a sponsored slot last year, and he's like, I don't think I can get the guys coach, just because he had too many things going on. But this year he did approach me, and he's like, yeah, I think we're ready. And so I'm very proud of him for bringing guys from Little Village, taking a step up.
And APB, Get Some, and Reapers.
APB played last year. I think they came in third or fourth. They're a good team from Horner Park up north. The guy who runs it, Cisco, does a good job of running that team. And I could see them having a long run as well too. These are pretty good matchup. The Goons team is from Oak Lawn. Nick, who runs the team, from what I've been hearing and from the little bit that I've seen of them, they might be in a championship game. Everyone that's played against them, and even I've had some teams question like, oh, you're not gonna let the Goons play, right? I'm like, why? I said, well, you know, they moved up from winning their C or D league in Oak Lawn, and they're playing in their upper league this year. And so they've been doing actually very well. And so the coach is excited about it. He's not cocky or arrogant. He's like, coach, we're gonna give it our best talked to him a little bit at the draw on Sunday, and he's got his team ready to play in the championship, so I'm excited for them. Reapers is another Oaklawn team that plays in the lower division, and they have a couple of guys too that I think could easily be playing at the A level. They just haven't had the opportunity or exposure. So that whole side of the bracket is there's going to be some very good games there.
So now we'll move to the lower portion of the bracket. Hitas, Wasted Talent, winner gets dice, Ribs, and then Gravediggers, who I believe is out of Westchester, and then whoever the two winners are will play at 10.
So shout out to Art from Dice, Mr. Jones. Class act always calls me to San Francisco. Well, we're going to give it a shot this year, and sure enough, this year as well too. We don't usually communicate live during the year other than to wish each other happy holidays. But on cue this year is at Francisco. We're back in, and so last year they won a couple of games too. And if they get rolling, they can make a good run as well too. The Hitters is a very young team from Little Village. They play in the Playing for Peace League run by New Life Centers. I can't imagine that anyone on that team is over 25. The young man who runs the team, Lionel, called me up and said, "Coach, I think we're finally ready to step up." And they're coming into this tournament with no high expectations. They recognize that they're going to be playing against better talent, but this is where they want to be. And so I'm hoping that they go back to their community, Little Village, share those experiences with other teams that might want to play with next year. And I'm looking forward to having hopefully more teams from Little Village and the surrounding communities.
Well, that's an important point you make, Francisco. When they come to our events, whether it's a B and A, and they have excitement, and then they go back to the community and people ask them what it was like, that really helps to get more teams involved. And we see it especially at Carroll Stream. You know, we started out getting 1 or 2 teams from Iowa. They all went back. We had 6 last year. We're probably going to get 6, maybe 7 from Iowa to come in this year. And so it's always an interesting thing when they go. And I think a lot of that is the hard work that you put in to make sure your event's organized and it runs smooth. That experience is real important to kind of light that fire under these kids and these teams.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes it's just really a matter of asking. And so last year, he came out, watched the tournament, went back, was excited, and he's like, "Hey, I want to be in the tournament next year, but how can I prepare for it?" So I connected him with Joe Belcaster, who runs the Genera Monday Night League, and his team is playing there. And then this year he just decided, "Hey, we're going to take a leap of faith, and they're going to roll the dice and see what happens."
And I just, before we leave here, you talked about, was it Goons being a feisty team? That Gravediggers team is a little feisty too. So I think that this weekend is going to be a riot, not a riot in a bad sense, but just it's going to be a lot of fun. I think, you know, the younger teams, they play so hard. They may not at times play the prettiest softball, but man, they're out there humping and balling as best they can.
Well, Gravediggers had a good run at our A Nobla, and last year they played in the B Nationals, and they're like, "Coach, can we just give it a shot?" And they enjoyed themselves. And you can't knock a team for trying to step that we try to have at Oaklawn, finish it at Clyde, the Battle of the Ages, and they almost beat Trash Panda if it weren't for Marco Macias' height that stopped the game-winning hit from going into the outfield. And so they're as spicy too. So that Gravediggers Ribs game is going to be a good game to watch.
And yeah, that's interesting. Speaking of the Battle of Ages, Thursday night, you're going to actually have the championship game in the middle of the Class B.
Exactly. So Thursday night at 8 p.m., Trash Pandas will be playing Team Caputo for the Battle of the Ages trophy. And we tried to finish that game at Clyde, but it started raining literally when the game was about to start, and so we had to cancel it. And I think of no better way to honor great men Pat Caputo and the championship as well.
Yeah, it's funny you went at 8 o'clock because, you know, them older guys, you're getting near to bedtime. Just kidding. So we got a George Bliss coming up, and George is going to be giving you some, talking about a couple of things we got going on. So we'll let George get set up here and we will cut over to him.
And we're live here at Buddy Bear. Thanks everybody for tuning in. But July 11th, mark it down, big White Sox Charities Super Softball Tournament, headed up by our good friend Nicky Lopez and his father, good friends of all of us, Bobby Lopez. So Bobby Lopez and Nicky, get ready for 16-inch softball at Mount Greenwood on Thursday. That's located at Central Park Avenue at 111th. Then we're going to Lawless after that. White Sox Charities, Nicky Lopez softball at Mount Greenwood on July 11th. And we'll see you there, everybody.
Sorry about that. I think we might have lost the camera. They also donate a lot of equipment to the local high schools. George, you can switch back to the main camera. I don't know what happened there. Sorry, folks, a little technical difficulty. So anyways, we'll be at Papa Hobbs. We'll also be at the Class B this weekend, and we're going to be showing you nonstop softball beginning tomorrow, and it should be a pretty busy but an exciting weekend. So as we head out the door, Jerry, any last comments?
Well, first of all, once again, I want to reiterate, I want to thank the SSA. So hopefully there's always next year, and just thanks, and I'll see you guys Thursday.
Francisco?
Well, thank you, Gio and Jerry, for having me here. I do want to say that every year at the B Nationals, and we've had, the first year we had community activists from Little Village in Rudy Lozano. The second year, former players like Jeff Hernandez, Jeff Berger, and this year's recipient is Jerry Brown. So I just want to say this to Mr. Brown, that not only have you conducted yourself as a great champion, your teams have, you have a long history of watched you manage your team, that you have been someone who has been a role model to me, because not only do your teams win, but the way you conduct yourself on and off the field, you're a class act. If someone were to ask me how I would describe you, I would say that you're a class act. Just dealing with your team has always been a pleasure, and I just want to say that I want to say this to you while you're alive and not posthumously, because I believe in celebrating people while they're here with us.
Put them a Luke on me. Thank you very much.
Thank
It was a great honor and great pleasure, and I thank you, and hopefully I'll continue up keeping
Told him to come out at 8, and he stayed there until midnight, and he was last year's kind of honoree. So that's going to do it, folks. A lot of softball. Like the page, follow the page, and as always, thank you for your support.
Thank you.